could not feel.
So here we are at one of the entrances to the University of Washington, and we can see some really cool historical dormitories. And this street is 17th Avenue, and it's a super cool street. I mean, look at this old tree, and there's lots of trees that line this street that are quite amazing. From my understanding, the University of Washington was formed November 4th, 1861. So this neighborhood is definitely an old neighborhood. You can hear the birds. Wow, look at that house. What a beautiful home, or dormitory, I should say. That's amazing. And I believe that these trees are chestnut trees, because when I used to live here, there would be chestnuts scattered all over the ground, and like loads and loads of squirrels doing squirrel activities. Isn't this beautiful? I love this neighborhood. Did I say that already? I think I did. So I used to rent a house just about a street over, and it was once a single family home, and they made it into a rooming house. I thought I would take us on these little I call them centerpieces because there's a road on each side. But yep, this was where I used to jog. Now I know why I used to love this neighborhood. It's actually very quiet here. I love these old houses. And the thing about Seattle is there's a lot of really old houses like this all over, but unlike a lot of parts of the country, like small towns and things like that, where they don't keep up their old houses, Seattle people pride themselves on keeping up their houses. So a lot of these houses, you know, are refurbished and kept up and maintained. So some of them you go into are just gorgeous. They look like they're brand new, some of them. The landscaping and all of that, well kept. When I lived in the house that was this a block away actually. Maybe we'll go by it today. But when I lived there, you know, I didn't know a lot about, like, you know, old house construction or anything like that. And when I lived there, I remember there were these pipes sticking out of the wall, and I didn't know what they were. Well, one time, the house caught fire, and it was up in the attic, and I didn't know why it caught fire. None of us knew, my housemates and I then. And when the fire department came, they said that the wiring was called knob and tube wiring, which came out in the 20s. So the house I lived in was built in 1909, as most of these houses are turn of the century houses from that period. But anyways, he said that before there was knob and tube wiring, they had gas lights. So that's what those pipes were. They were gas pipes, so you could light the inside of your home. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating. And then another fascinating thing I learned about was the first Seattle World's Fair. Because we all know the one that took place in 1962, I believe, 61 or 62 World's Fair, which was down at the Space Needle and Seattle Center. Well, this one, they had one here in 1909, the same year that the house I lived in was built. So the World's Fair of 1909 was basically held at the University of Washington, and what they did was they had a light show, meaning that they lit up the whole campus with light bulbs, and it was a spectacular thing because nobody had seen anything like that. So I just think, God, all of these houses here didn't have electricity like that. They didn't have light and stuff until after then. And another cool thing I found out about the University of Washington is the campus was designed by the same person who designed Central Park. So I thought that was pretty fascinating too. Here's another cool old house. More cool old houses. So this is the street I lived on. And I thought, you know what, why not go visit the old house? See how it's doing. It's been probably 10 years since I've lived here. Yeah, I have some interesting stories to tell too about this neighborhood. So this neighborhood, you know, it's mixed single family houses and student housing, and it would get noisy sometimes at night. There would be, you know, loud, you know, sorority parties, and college kids are, you know, rowdy and screaming and just crazy. And sometimes it could be a pain in the butt, and then you call the cops, and then of course, you know, they're not going to do anything about it, and it's 3 in the morning. And so those aren't things that I remember fondly, you know. So so there, you know, and I know that there's been some shootings around here, and you know, so it's like, you know, it's funny because you would think, and it's none of it's caused by the homeless people. It's all these like rowdy sorority kids. It's, you know, all of these college kids were the ones causing all the problems and the shootings, and it's crazy. So there it is. That's where I lived. Ooh, it looks like they got some new windows on there. Yep. I lived in that room right there. That's amazing. In this house where I lived, there were, yep, definitely new windows. It still had the old windows then. It has 3 levels to it too, and they actually have a basement in the back. Actually, we can go up on it because I'm not so shy since I used to live here. But yeah, so this was the main living area in the, you know, when it was a single family home, and then there were 4 bedrooms there, and then 3 upstairs. So it was a 7-bedroom house. And yep, I used to go on these stairs, and I wonder what it looks like inside. It looks the same. The same carpet. I always thought they should have got rid of that carpet. But yeah, see, You go in there, and then they had put a wall up there, and then you can go upstairs to where our part was. Side. I'll show you this. So yeah, it used to be a green color, and they painted it this charcoal gray, which it looks quite nice, actually, when you think about it. And so if you wanted to go onto the main level to get in, you'd have to go into this door. So that's to that level. And then there's the basement housing there. So, and then this is the laundry back here. But yeah. And my friends and I used to sit out on that eave and share a pizza. Black house, which is so odd because it didn't used to be painted black. It was, I can't remember what color. It was a lighter color. But this house, when I lived here, belonged to an elderly woman, and she was very, very sweet. She had a black cat, and back then I had a cat too. I had a little Abyssinian cat, and my housemate at the time said that he could see into the window there, this window here, and he said, you know, it looked like that there was something wrong with her. And so he went to the porch here and knocked on the door. So he went to the front door to check in on her, and she seemed to be responsive, so he decided to, you know, just let it be and forget about it. And then that night, I remember he was saying her light's been on all day and all night, and we weren't sure what was going on. And he said, you know, I believe it was like 11 at night. So we came over here and knocked on the door, and we could see her laying on the floor, and we couldn't get in. We tried to get in, but there was a chain and lock. So we called 911 because we wanted to try and help her, you know. And so 911 came, and sure enough, she had passed away. And she was very sweet. So we got a hold of this neighbor here, who the son who lived there grew up with her kids. So that's the story about that. And you know, we got to go inside afterwards. They were having an estate sale here, and you know, so I got to see the inside of the house, and it's a pretty cool old house. But yeah, sad story, and very memorable, very exciting times. It's so odd. Like, ever since I left here, I have a lot of dreams about this place, and I don't know what it is. There's only like 3 places that I dream of consistently. It's this place. There was a place that I used to work that I always dream about. Like, I worked there in the early 90s, and then my house in California where I grew up. Well, that's it from me. Thanks for taking a trip down memory lane with me. I really, really enjoyed doing this vlog, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Now, one thing I have to say though, before I go, the Thai restaurant that I went to, it was initially good when I took the first bite out of it, but then I really felt like it wasn't all that. You know, if I was to rate it on a scale of like 1 to 10, I'd give it a 6.5, maybe 7, because I've had some fantastic Thai food, and that simply just wasn't one of them. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. Usually I try and give benefit of the doubt, but you know what? When you've had better, then you know what better tastes like. So anyways, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I know I'll see you soon. Bye.